Okay, so when it comes to anxiety or the topic of anxiety, it's really, really hard to basically generalize the feeling or the experience because everybody is different. So this is just my personal experience with anxiety. I know that everybody else experiences it differently. So this is not generalizing saying that if you have anxiety, this is going to happen. This is just more so me expressing my experience with it. So to be honest with you, looking back, I believe I always had anxiety to a certain degree. And the reality is everyone is going to have anxiety to a certain degree. Healthy anxieties are perfectly normal. It is when anxiety becomes excessive and when it becomes debilitating is then when it poses a serious problem. So growing up, I always was a real sensitive kid for the most part, right? And I didn't realize at the time the terminology that it was anxiety or anxious energy. But basically, I would be nervous. I would get nervous when it's time to go to school. I wouldn't want to go to school. Like early on. I would cry and like scream and kick, so it would seem like I was having like bad behavior or behavioral issue, but it wasn't that. It just I couldn't articulate and express the fact that I was nervous or I was anxious, and I didn't know why I felt that way. Also, I would say an early experience kind of shaped the way I perceived my social experiences. So I probably had to been maybe like 5 or 6. And I remember I was going to a private school, and I was living in Suitland, Maryland at the time. And I remember just being a kid, like going to school, having, wanting to meet friends, play, and things like that. I never forget this girl, for whatever reason, she smacked the crap out of me. I couldn't tell you why, still to this day. And I remember like crying and being all like sad and and I remember going home and, getting ready to go home and telling my parents about what happened. And one of my parents had a real negative response to that. Like instead of like telling me that everything was going to be okay, you don't let people put their hands on you, you tell a teacher, you defend yourself, whatever. It was just kind of like just anger, like, you're supposed to know what to do. Like someone hits you, you hit them back, all of that. And I buried that feeling inside of me. And I would like to say at that time, probably, I felt like my security was taken away. Like I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel secure. I can't even go to school without getting hit for no apparent reason. Like the world's this big, scary place. That's how I perceived it at 5, 6 years old. So as time went on, every day I began feeling anxious about going to school. And that was a learned behavior. I learned that. Also, typically too, I can't speak for anybody else's experience, but I know I grew up, and definitely culturally for me, like I said, not making a race thing, this is just my personal experience as an African-American woman. A lot of people don't believe, well, now they do, but at that time they didn't believe in mental health. You were just labeled as an outcast or a bad kid. You just don't want to do right. So I couldn't really express what I was going through because I didn't understand it. And also the way I was raised and people that were in my growing experience, developmental experience, were ignorant to the fact of mental health. And so I wouldn't even know how to express or explain to them that something was going on. I just knew I had this feeling of, that I now know, feeling of dread, feeling that something bad is going to happen, feeling that my security is going to be taken away, feeling that I am not enough to deal with the things that I will face today and tomorrow. When it became a problem is when it started affecting me not wanting to do social events, social activities with my friends, when it started affecting my driving, when it started seeming like it was affecting every area of my life to where I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't want to do anything. And the crazy thing about it is because it's like, when you deal with anxiety, you feel like you're just this person afraid of everything. Like you feel like, when I say you, I'm speaking from personal experience, my own experience. I feel, it makes me feel trapped. Makes me feel like I'm in a big, like football stadium, right? And I can run around anywhere in the football stadium, but I can't leave the stadium, right? So it got to the point where, you are constantly anxious, and on a 10, even when you don't need to be for so long, you start to become depressed. Your anxiety will have you believing that you're a total nutcase until you realize there's so many other people who are struggling with the same thing that you're struggling with. And the thing about it is, I'm not saying that when you find out other people are going through it too, that it takes away your anxiety, but at least it makes you feel like you're not alone. Like I'm 27, so I've been dealing with anxiety for literally, I would want to say probably like 19 plus years of my life. It's probably longer than that. To be honest with you, it's probably more like 20 years or and some change of my life. So it can really affect your mental health, and it can make you feel, it can take away your confidence. It can do a lot of things to you, but also, as crazy as this sounds, there's beautiful things about going through certain mental disorders as well, because it shows you a level of empathy. Like it teaches you a level of empathy to have for people that you wouldn't typically have. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that people that don't have mental illness don't have empathy, but I'm just saying when you go through mental illness, a lot of times yes, you're angry. Yes, you're mad. You blame God. You blame yourself. Why am I the one that has to be like, you go through all of that. But when other people are going through what you're going through, you can sit there with them and say, whatever your craziest thought is, I promise you I've had the same one, or times 10. And it makes other people feel like they're not in this journey alone. And it's strength in numbers. I've always believed that. How do I feel about professional help and things like that? I believe, honestly, that the body can heal itself. I believe that holistic and natural alternative ways to decrease anxiety and different things like that, I do believe that works. But for me, I'm very skeptical about medicine. But for me, I ended up doing a mouth swabbing where they basically swab your mouth, they send it off, and they basically let you know all the medicines that would never work for you. Because in my earlier years, you're a lab rat. They put you on this makes you depressed. They put you on this takes away your anxiety, but now you're suicidal. You have suicidal ideations. They do this, they do that. So I didn't want to be a lab rat anymore. So for me, it was more so of, can you help me or can you not? Do I need to go to the full holistic approach or what? So I'm not against medicine. Do I believe that everyone needs to be on it? No. Sometimes it can kickstart your road to recovery or road to healing, a road to just being better and not feeling trapped and being able to enjoy the simple things of life. You know, a normal person, well, I don't even say normal, because what's normal? A person who doesn't have anxiety goes to the grocery store. They're not thinking about, this person is looking at me. What are they thinking about me? I don't want to look stupid. Let me count my money multiple times and make sure I have enough. Like, anxiety will make you feel sometimes like normal tasks, make it feel like you've never done them before. And it can be a real uncomfortable thing. But I do believe that, for me, what are some things that have helped? I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's diminished it, because that was cute. Diminished it, because I would be lying. But to have a great support system, to not suppress what you're feeling, as crazy as it sounds, have someone to talk to about those thoughts. Do not hold it in, because everything you hold in will come out eventually. And what you don't want is have to deal with two things, you know what I mean? Whether that's substance abuse, mental illness, whatever those things are, because they are a monster together. Make sure you have a good support system. Make sure you're connected to a spiritual source of your choosing. You know what I mean? Whatever works for you, just have something that's greater than yourself that you believe in to help you get through what you're going through. If you need medicine, don't oppose to it. If you got to do it with medicine, you got to do it with medicine. If you got to do it with therapy, do it with therapy. Find things that bring you joy. Find what your hobbies are, your passions are, and find your peace in those things. Understand that the only difference between you and someone else, if it's not a chemical imbalance, is just that an experience altered your way of thinking. That's it. You're not crazy. You're not less than. You're not inadequate. You're none of those things. So anybody can be in the same boat. And to be honest with you, at some point in everyone's life, they will experience some form of mental health, whether it's long-term or short-term. I want to say that regardless of what you go through, like, if you're not supposed to be here, you wouldn't be here right now. And take it for somebody who has been through hell and back, and been back to hell and then came back. You truly can persevere through anything. Am I going to sit up here and tell you that I don't go through anxiety? No, I was anxious about doing this video, but I chose to not allow it to overtake me. And there are some days where I no matter what I do, I just can't fight through it. And I'm like, I can't drive today, or I can't whatever. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up, because there'll come another day where you will push through it. And it's just like, wow, I didn't even think I'd be able to do that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's pretty much been my personal experience. I've had many nights where I've cried, have many nights where I've given up, literally. I've had many nights where I couldn't even find one thing to be grateful for because my mind was so cloudy. I've had many nights where Google was my worst enemy, because I would Google an emotion or feeling, and it's like, you have this, and you also have this, and you have this, and you have this, and you have this. So a lot of times, anxiety and depression can make you feel like mental disorders can mimic each other. That's why a lot of people get misdiagnosed. So you may be thinking you have anxiety and depression, come to find out you have adult ADHD. And because you didn't know what that was, it caused you to be depressed. So now that you got that under control, you don't even deal with the depression anymore. It doesn't, you may have both. It just depends. It's different it's different strokes for different folks. Like, it's different for everybody. But don't feel like you can't find love. Well, first, I know that, and it's been a long journey. If you feel inadequate and you don't feel enough, it doesn't matter what you use as an outside source to try to fill you up, you'll always feel empty. So until you work from within and love that inner being, your inner self, for me personally, my experience is not, if you don't love yourself, you can't love someone else. That's not my experience. My experience is, if you don't love yourself, you can't receive love from somebody else because you don't believe you deserve it. So keep working on your inner self. Have good people around you, a good support system, and know that regardless of what mental health you experience and you go through, it does not separate you, in my opinion, from the love of God. You are unique and you are special. And the fact that you are even still here with what you go through on a daily basis, if that doesn't tell you that there's something greater out there that's looking out for you, regardless, even if you were on death's door, you're still here, like, listening to this. So that tells you a lot right there. And don't think that you don't deserve love, because when you find that right person that really, really loves you, they're going to love you regardless of what you go through. You know what I mean? And they're never going to make you feel guilty about what you go through. That's like a person having diabetes and someone going with them and being upset because chemically something is going on in their body. They're going to try to help you. What do you have to eat? What are the medicines that you have to do? You know, all of those things. But they're not going to blame you for a proclivity that you can't help. You know what I mean? And if you can help it, they're going to be right there to help you through that. I feel like I've been babbling on for a long time, so I hope that this helped somebody, if just one person, because in this moment I'm being full transparent and letting everything out about, you know, what I've gone through and different things like that. But peace and blessings to everybody. Know that the person that you are looking for to save you is the person in the mirror. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I got.